Did you notice what happened on January 20th? Well, besides that, it wasn't just Trump handing out pardons for people that were involved with January 6th, but it was also Biden in the early morning hours giving out pardons for people attached to January 6th as well. And today I'm going to look at these contrasting pardons by the outgoing and the now new president and show you how one, I believe, justifies the other. But those people that were pardoned, should they even get their gun rights back? I mean, you're talking about a whole insurrection. Well, we're going to look at that as well and that kind of complicated process attached to it. Now, of course, I want to hear your opinion, no matter if you agree or disagree with mine. Leave that down below. Let's go ahead and jump right in. Now, you may not have heard about this, maybe you have, but Biden, in the early morning hours, I can kind of imagine him thinking, man, today's the last day. Who are the people I was supposed to pardon? And his staff jumps in and helps him, Mr. President, hey, it's these people. Well, when you look at that list, it's actually pretty interesting. Mark Milley, Dr. Fauci, people on the January 6th committee, the same people that went after the rioters and after Trump, and people of his own family. He handed out preemptive pardons. Now, the pardon process, to me, is pretty simple, right? You think that somebody has been fully restored, and in order to restore their civil disabilities, you pardon them. You can go with a full and unconditional pardon. You know, there's commute the sentences of people and reduce those. There's a couple of different ways to do it, but essentially you're saying, hey, either I think you've been fully restored, or the crimes you committed have been fully paid for, and now you no longer have to deal with the issues that arise from, a felony conviction. But why would Biden do that in the first place if these people are on the right side of the law? People like Fauci, I thought he saved tens of millions of lives. People that were convicting the over 1,500 on January 6th. This was like the biggest event since 9/11, according to some people. So why would you preemptively pardon them if they didn't do anything wrong? Let's just be honest. He went after the people attached to January 6th to make them an example and to hopefully have more people turn on Trump. And then, short of killing Trump, they tried everything they could to keep him out of the White House. And when he knew, obviously, that wasn't going to work, he used his very last hours to preemptively pardon these people because somehow, some way, he knows that they are in the wrong. That right there shows me that the people convicted on January 6th were a part of a political pawn. You may say, well, how is that? Well, were there some stupid things that were done on that day? Yes. But did they burn down buildings? Did they burn down surrounding businesses? Did they burn down cars? Did they trash the entire city? No. But the people part of Seattle riots took over a whole police station, whole city basically. People in Minneapolis, George Floyd, BLM riots. Did Biden go back and try to prosecute those people to the same level of those that were involved on January 6th? Absolutely not. People on January 6th were charged with, some of them charged with battery on officers, trespassing. Some were charged with looting. Others were charged with vandalism. This is not at the same level that the rioters in some of these big cities, especially attached to BLM, not even close to the same level of destruction. Again, they were used as a political pawn. So Trump restored the rights to him. He kept his word. And Biden made it so easy for him to do that. He would have done it anyways, but still Biden's the one that opened that door. And remember, he gave a full and unconditional pardon to Biden, Hunter Biden, his son, meaning his son can now carry firearms. Well, these people that get these pardons, should they be able to get their gun rights back? Well, here's my opinion, and it's pretty simple. If you are out of prison or jail, you've served your time, and according to the law, you are able to come back into society, yes, you should get every right you lost back. And you shouldn't have to ask for permission. This is part of the complicated process that a pardon takes, and sometimes it takes people decades, maybe even longer, to be able to get pardons. Now, if it's on a state level, you got to go to your governor, right? If it's on a federal level, the only way to do it really is through a presidential pardon. There actually is a way to go through federal courts, but the ATF shut that down in like 1992. They no longer will look at applicants looking to restore their gun rights. So you could have your rights given back to you on a state level, but on a federal level, unless you get that full and unconditional pardon, you will still probably fail a background check because it goes through the NICS system, which is a part of the FBI, which is a part of the government. Here's the other part of it. In a regular pardon situation, right, if you apply for that, you got to wait 5 years after your sentence has been complete, then you can apply. You can only apply every 2 years on a state level, I think, and every 5 years on a federal level. But if you used a firearm in the commission of a crime, you're not going to get those gun rights back. And in a lot of cases, there's a secondary process to get firearm rights back to you. So if you don't specifically say, hey, a big part of me trying to get this pardon is to get my Second Amendment rights back, you could actually get a pardon and still not be able to own a gun if you don't know that you got to go through that secondary process. If you hire a lawyer and you just don't say anything, they may be able to restore rights to you, but the gun rights is something separate that you have to ask for. Plus, hiring a lawyer to do all of this, right? It takes a lot of money, and let's say you have somebody that got out of prison for 20 years, right? They have no career, no job, no savings, no nothing. Now they got to hire a lawyer after they've waited 5 years in order to apply for this. They may never get their gun rights back. And there's probably a lot of people that just say, screw that, I'm not going through the process, it's not even worth it. Fortunately, because this was a high-profile thing, and President Trump not only saw what happened to those people, but he felt it himself, they were able to get full and unconditional pardons and be able to have their gun rights restored. And I think that's fantastic. Now, there was a list of people, I think it was about 15 or so, 10 to 15, that had their sentences commuted, meaning that time served, those people are released. I don't know if he can then give a full and unconditional pardon to those people or if it's a part of commuting the sentences. Pretty sure those are two different things. Regardless, though, it's kind of like if you do something stupid once, should you lose all your rights because of it, especially after you've served your time? One of them said, I'm going to buy guns. I love this country. Thank you, President Trump, and all of that. It's got to be some kind of justification to these people, knowing they don't have to go through this long and convoluted process in order to restore those rights. It is something I believe that needs to be looked at, and I'm glad these people, they got their gun rights back, and it should be a much easier process for anybody that's been convicted, served their time, they're out, they should have those firearm rights restored to them. No matter what they did beforehand, you have people that are out of jail after 10, 15, 20, 30 years, and a lot changes in that time. One little mistake can cost you a lot when it comes to your rights. Now, here's the last thing I'll leave you with. A lot of these people are super recognizable. So they serve sentences, they get out of prison, and then they have no way to protect themselves. So let's say there's somebody that sees them like, oh, that's the guy from January 6th. And they have some kind of weird obsession with that, or they know that people like him are the ones that put Trump in office once again. They try to harm that person. Well, that person can't buy a firearm to protect themselves. And going back to anybody that served a sentence, that's done their time, those firearm rights should be restored. That's just my opinion. Of course, I want to hear yours. Whether you agree or disagree with me, let me know what you think down below. Do you think the Biden pardons cast a little bit more light on what happened, or maybe even cast a little bit more doubt on what you think happened? Also, do you think those justified what Trump did as far as his pardons? Do you think they should get their gun rights back? Let me know down below. If you like what I do, consider subscribing. See you in the next one. And as always, hold them down.